Hi, this is Kush Sharma from creativepadphotography.com. We're learning how to make objects fly. That is levitation photography. So let's get started. I hope you have the two shots ready, which you saw in the blog article. So they look something like this. So you basically open both the images by going on File and Open, and you'll see these two images here. What we have to do is, the first thing we have to do now is we have to place the image which has the objects, which is this image, on top of the one which doesn't have. So on top of the one with the blank scene. So let's do that. How you do that is just first of all just drag this image. So hold your mouse and just drag this outwards, and then go on here on the move tool, the first icon that you see. Now this can just vary a bit depending upon the Photoshop version you have, but normally the way the icons look is the same in most of the versions, and even the placement is the same. So once you see this move tool here, just click on it and just drag this image on top of the other one like this. I'll just close this and you'll see that this image has come on top. So basically you'll see these two layers out here. So one is the background, which is the layer behind, and one is on top. So make sure you just keep dragging this till the time it's exactly on top of the other image. And how you can verify that is if you just go to this section here, which is the layers section. You can see two layers. If you can't see this section, go to window and click on layers. So if I click on layers now, it disappears. If I just click on layers again, it comes back again. So how you can verify this is if I just hide this layer on top, which is this layer, what I should see is exactly the same scene minus the objects. So I'll just show you what I'm talking about. If I click on this eye icon here, which will hide this image, so I just click on that, and you can see when the objects disappear, what you're basically seeing is the layer or the image that is underneath this. So you're seeing the background now. If I just get it back again, you'll see it comes. So it should look, there should be no difference. You can see there's no difference apart from the shadow and the objects. So this is because I've exactly placed the layer on top of each other. Once you've got this, all you have to do is just make sure this layer is selected, the top one, so you can see this is highlighted. Once that's the case, just select the eraser tool. You'll just find it somewhere on the middle here on the left. So just select this and you will see this eraser icon come here. And then all you have to do is just remove the objects. So in this case, we just have to remove this can. And if you can see, the moment I start erasing it, you'll see what basically happens is that the can starts disappearing because you're revealing what lies on the layer below, and which is nothing, which is just a blank scene. So if I erase this can, it'll give the illusion that this book is flying. Okay, so you have to be a bit careful when you edit this so as to not run onto the book or the shadow. So I'll just show you. So it helps to just zoom in before you start erasing so that you can be more precise. In this tutorial, I won't be that precise because I want to speed things a little, but the important thing is that you get the concept. So just erase the can. You just have to be a bit careful when you're around the edges of the book. And there is fine. Just this much. Now what you're seeing is, if you can just observe, what is happening is that as I erase, it's not completely flawless. You can see that there's a change in lighting. This is because, if I just hide this layer, this is because when I took this image, that is the image without the objects, there is some change in lighting or the exposure of the image. That is because you're removing these objects. So obviously there's some amount of change in the lighting. So you can see that it doesn't look too natural. It just clearly sees that there's something wrong with this image. So what you can do is, once you've removed the can, just zoom in again. And what you have to do is, now this, what we're seeing here, the brightened area is actually the layer below. That is the image without any objects. So we just have to change the brightness of this image till the point where it looks similar to the brightness of the image on top, which is the image which had the object. So what you do is, I go to the background. So I have to select now the background because I want to change the brightness of the image, which was the original background image. So I click on background and then I go to the adjustments window here and I click on brightness. You can also just right click here on background, and so you not right click, you can go to this icon here and click on brightness, but we'll go the adjustments way. If you can't see the adjustments window, just go to window and click on adjustments and you'll see this. So when background is selected, and you only have to do this in case you're seeing too much of a difference, and which in some cases does result. But in case you're not seeing any difference, and when you use the eraser tool, it looked exactly the same, the brightness between both the images, you don't have to perform this step. But in most of the cases, there will be at least some difference. So it's just helpful to know what I'm about to say right now. So once you've selected the background, just click on brightness and just play around with these sliders till you feel that there's a good match between both these areas. So let's just do that. So what I'll do is I'll just decrease the brightness because I can see that this area is lit up more than this area. This means that the background image had more brightness or was slightly exposed more than this image. So let's just decrease the brightness a bit and see if this reduces this disparity between both the areas. Start dragging it and you can see that it's disappearing now. You can see it's almost negligible, at least on this side. On this side, there's still some disparity, but we'll just drag it slightly more. You have to be careful you don't overdo this, otherwise it starts to become dark like this. So yeah, I think this much is fine. We'll take care of this part, but at least the big part or the big chunk of it is fine now. You can also play around with the contrast slider a bit and see if it just evens out things more. So probably, I think this much is fine. So there'll still be some areas like this right side which can still be, there can be still a little different scene here. So what you do is, this can be done, we'll erase all this or we'll correct all this by using the clone stamp tool. So I'll tell you how that tool works, but before we use that tool, and that tool will be used for the shadow also. So don't erase the can which falls in the shadow. So if I just zoom out, you'll see that I've not erased the can which is forming a part of the shadow. This is because if I were to erase this, I would erase the shadow also, and you'll be seeing basically this. If you don't want to see this, because we want the shadow to be seen, the full shadow. Otherwise it doesn't look real. So what we have to do now is, we're done with the erasing, but before we can use the clone stamp to get this shadow and this area perfect, we just have to combine these layers first into one layer. So what you do is you just select all three layers by pressing Ctrl and clicking on all three. Once you've done that, you have to keep the Control button pressed and then click on all three to select all three. Then you just right click and click on merge layers, and you'll see that all this just converts into one layer, which is the background. Now what you do is you zoom in again, and now it's time to use the clone stamp tool to get the shadow and to correct this area and this area also. So what the clone stamp tool does basically is, so the clone stamp tool looks like the stamp out here. So once you select this, you'll see this icon, this round icon here. You can decrease or increase the size by using the bracket button, which is below the backspace button. So the two brackets button, they decrease or increase the size of this icon. So what you have to do is, what a clone stamp tool does is, if I select this area using the clone stamp tool, it allows me to copy this area and paste it somewhere else. So basically I can copy any area and paste the same area somewhere else. And how you do that is, you first select the area which you want to copy. So suppose I want to copy this part of the book. What I do is I place my icon here and then I press and hold Alt, and you'll see this, it change into something like an aim icon, and keep the Alt pressed and then left click the mouse, and now it has selected this area. Now if I were to just move my mouse anywhere, you can see that is showing me if I press my mouse, this particular thing that I copied from here can be pasted anywhere. So if I just click my mouse, you can see that this area has come here. So I can duplicate any area by pressing Alt and then pressing the mouse and then pasting it anywhere I want. So I'll just undo this. Now how this can be used is, I just want to merge these two areas together because you can see this shadow out here and there's a difference between the wall and this, so you know the shadow, the editing that we did. So what I want to do is I want to merge this area of the wall so that there's no difference now. So what I'll do is I'll just select this part and just copy it here. Now you can see this part is slightly getting merged into this. Again, I'll do the same thing and just press it. And now it's more or less gone. You have to be more precise, so you'll need more amount of stamping. But I just want to speed up these tutorials, so I'll just do this much and it's fine. Don't want to be too perfect. Another thing you can do is, if you want to gradually clone, you can decrease the opacity. So when it's at 100% opacity, exactly everything gets copied. But when it's like, suppose if you just decrease the opacity, then it just reduces the effect by 50%. Therefore, it makes things more subtle rather than too obvious. So let's just put it back at 100. You can play around with this. It just helps to do clone stamping more gradually. Now I want to do the same thing here. So I just decrease the size and I select this area and just paste it in this little area. And again, I just do the same thing. So you can see this, it's getting merged, and now I can actually decrease the opacity to 50% just to make it more subtle. So I just press here. Now it's doing the same thing, but it's just doing it at a 50% lesser potential. So its potency is reduced basically, or this effect is reduced by 50% when you decrease the opacity. So I think this is fine. It's not perfect, but you sometimes have to go. It can be a little painful sometimes when there's slightly a difference between the exposures between both the images, but it's not that tough to. And do just a bit more of this. I think now it's fine. If I just zoom back, I think this part looks fine, even though probably this is slightly, this is a bright spot here. So what I can do is, if I want to darken something, which is something really bright, I can just pick a dark spot and then just clone stamp it. Hold the Alt, click the button and just clone stamp it. And I think this is fine. I know it's a bit ugly, but you just have to spend more time on it. And shadows can be a bit painful to remove. So what you do is, the principle remains the same. Let the opacity be higher, somewhere around 100, or let's keep it at 90. Now select this whole shadow here, press Alt and then press the mouse button. So now you selected this area. Now we just want to superimpose this area over here. So if I just drag it here and just press the mouse button, you can see the shadow has come on the bottle now. So we want to completely erase this bottle by the shadow. So just keep pressing Alt here and here, and I think that's fine. I'll make out where the bottle is. Now if I just zoom back, you can see that we almost have the book flying. You can see these spots here. That's because I've not been too careful while clone stamping. You just have to be a little careful. A good idea is to just decrease the opacity and do it so that the effect is more subtle. It'll require more amount of stamping, but the effect will be better normally. Though sometimes you can get away with 100% too. In this case, I was just hurried things a bit, and that's why you can see a little disparity in some areas. But otherwise, we've got our image. If I zoom out, it looks fine. And you can see that the book is flying now. So this is how you make objects fly. You can apply this to any human or any other object. You can throw in your creative ideas. You can look at the image of the cards that is the featured image for this blog post. So look, yeah, it's a good way to explore levitation photography and then use your own ideas to make more creative shots. But the principle of editing and taking shots will always remain the same. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned levitation photography, and I'll see you in some other tutorial. So bye for now. Yeah, one more thing. Don't if you're still learning photography, you can check out my book called Digital Photography for Beginners: The Fastest Way to Learn the Essentials and start get it clicking. Because it's a book in which everything is taught step by step like this. It covers both basics and the semi-advanced photography information, digital photography, and the link is given below in the details of this particular video. So if you're just starting out, and if you're interested in learning DSLR photography, you can go ahead and check out my book. It's on Amazon, and the link is given in the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe so that if I have any future videos, you can keep in touch. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching this. Bye for now.